7, 6.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the Starboard portal. Today we have some great content lined up for you. We have 3 of our U.S. sailing team women's radial athletes, Paige Railey, the winner of the U.S. Olympic trials, teammates Erika, Reineke, and Charlotte Rose, and their coach, Steve Mitchell. This is a Q&A, so if you have questions, please feel free to ask them in the live chat. And with that, we'll get started. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the Starboard portal. Today we have some great content lined up for you. We have 3 of our U.S. sailing team women's radial athletes. 1 second, little technical difficulty. The U.S. Olympic trials. Welcome, Charlotte, Erika, Paige, and Steve. Thanks for being here.
Hey, how are you?
You 3 are the most competitive, bold, confident women I've ever known. You're all at the top of your games, really at the top of the world. How do you balance being hyper competitive and friends and teammates all at the same time? It's truly amazing. How do you 3 manage this? Paige, let's start with you.
Well, I think that we all have, we all want to get to the games, obviously, and we all want to do well for ourselves. But as a nation, we all want to be, top in the world as American athletes. And I think, Erika and I, probably a couple years ago, we said to each other that, when we decide to retire from radial sailing, we think it's really important that there's a nice pipeline for other athletes coming up. So I think we just made a joint effort that it's going to be really important. We share our knowledge, we get good as a nation. And then as each of us progress throughout our careers, we always ensure that there's going to be somebody else after us to take our place.
Awesome. Erika, you want to touch on it as well?
Yeah, I'll chime in on that. I think Paige said that very well. I guess just to be open and candid with our audience, like working together was definitely a challenge, just like it is with like any relationship. Like, I guess the best way to describe our team was that, it was a relationship, and you constantly have to be working at relationships in order to make them work, and making sure one person isn't sacrificing too much or like receiving too much attention or all the attention. So like, there was definitely challenges, and we were like working together the whole time through that. But in general, like that being said, there was like no room for selfish mentality within our group, which I thought was really important to have, because you can't really have a selfish mentality with training with a squad like we had. So only one of us will end up going to the games. And I think with the squad mentality, you have to trust that whoever the person ends up going is, that's the person that, benefited from the squad. And I think all of us can say that we benefited from the squad, but that's basically like you got to trust in the process and trust that the squad got you to be the best that you can be.
Yeah, no, I think results have shown 3 very strong ladies here. Charlotte, do you want to touch a little bit on it as well?
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah, like I've known Paige and Erika for like a really long time, and like I obviously look up to them like every single day, and training with them was definitely like I've learned a lot from them. And like from what Erika and Paige said, like at the end of the day, like only one person goes, but all of us are working together to push that one person to be the best they can be at the Olympic Games. So I don't know, I just thought it was like our relationship was really strong, and that like we all have the same goal, but we all know that like not all 3 of us are going to end up at the same place, but yeah.
No, absolutely. Stronger together, and shown over the last year for sure. Can we talk a little bit about this unified approach you all took training together, this quad, now a quin? and how that was different from previous quads. And if Steve, you wanted to start out as the coach, we can go with that.
Yeah, so we'd identified that training in a group was going to be beneficial to the team as a whole, and we identified this in all the classes. So where we had good strength and depth in the US within various classes, we made that conscious decision to create and maintain a training group. And it's going to be hard. With the Radial group, we've got 3 fantastic athletes here, but then there's a whole group of other athletes, club teams, there's up and coming youth sailors, there's a huge base below the peak that we see right here. So as the girls said, making sure that radial sailing in the US carries on producing winners was key. We're always focused on the Olympics as the main goal, but realistically there's so many goals outside of that. There's improving as a person, improving as an athlete, improving as a role model. You'll see, when Paige started sailing, when did you start sailing radials, Paige? 15, 16?
Yep.
So, she was a kid then, and she had role models to look up to in, various classes. When Paige was winning things, Charlotte was growing up, Erika was growing up, and they were each looking at each other as role models. And as they've gradually gone through the ranks, they've become role models to the sailors and the youth underneath them. And I think that's a really important place for us to be. If you go down to Fort Lauderdale Yacht Club at a weekend, you'll see Erika hammering knowledge into kids, making sure that they're performing. It's really impressive to see. And the stuff that she's learned on the water, racing and training with Charlotte and with Paige and with the other members of the Radial team, she's passing that on directly to the kids at her club. And that's great to see. If we can keep this pipeline of success coming, what we don't want in classes is to have somebody performing, doing really great, and then nothing beyond that. It takes 2 or 3 generations to build that up again. So we're in a really privileged position right now. We've got Paige. We've got Paige currently, who's selected for the Tokyo Games. We've got Erika and Charlotte, who are going to be easily pushing for the next games. And there's a bunch of people behind them who are going to age into the senior bracket and become threats as well. So, things are looking good and things are strong for the US right now in this class.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's exciting to watch and follow the Radial girls. Girls, do you have anything to add to Steve, or do you want to talk a little bit about how the team element has affected your training on and off the water and what it's like from a personal level? Erika?
Oh, sorry.
Oh,
Go anyway.
Okay. Well, the cool thing about having a team is that we're very unique in like going for the same goal of the Olympic Games. Like not many people have that goal. And what I believe I shared with this, like with Paige and with Charlotte is very unique in that. And so like in ways like, yes, we are competitors. Yes, we are pushing each other all the time, but these 2 women are the people that I see the most often, the people who like understand like when I'm struggling, when I'm away from home. I've definitely reached out to Paige before, I was struggling in the summer of 2018 and like I was not happy. And, even though we are competitors and like we're trying to beat each other all the time on the water, like we're there for each other too, because not many people go through what we experience, especially being away and traveling all the time. So these 2 women, as different as we may be personality wise, like Charlotte being younger, Paige being older, we all kind of go through a very similar experience through this journey. And that's something that I'm very grateful for. And, maybe we're not always the closest of friends, but we had this, time in our lives where we were essentially going for the same dream, and we all shared that passion together. And that's something that you don't really share with that many people. So I'm really happy to have known these 2.
Absolutely. Paige, you had something to say?
Yeah, I was just wondering if you're talking about like the friendship aspect on land compared to competitive aspect on the water.
No, I think it's more just the whole team element and how it's affected your training on the water, and kind of a comparison from maybe before quads, and then also just off the water, kind of the interactions that you've kind of gone through as a team versus maybe when there weren't as many radial athletes gunning for the same goals and around sharing the same experiences.
Yeah, I think this quad, what was cool is that the competitiveness, whether we were racing or training, was always high. So what I think it taught us is that it put us under a lot of mental stress all the time, because when we were training, neither one of us, we don't want to get beat by the other person. So it teaches an athlete how to perform under pressure and stress and high competitiveness, like all the time. So then by the time you come to an event, you've been racing against your competitors, we'll say like your Olympic trials competitors on a daily basis. So it just feels like another day on the water. And then I think also too, when you have an open talks about what you're training, there are no secrets. So like, I know that Erika and Charlotte are in the gym, doing different cardio sessions, doing different weightlifting things. I can see their progress over time. So, inside your head mentally, you have to keep pushing yourself. So like, I know that if I'm slacking, I can like literally see my competitors training harder than what I am. So it keeps me on we'll say on the top of my game, and it keeps pushing me all the time. So, before, if you're training by yourself, you can have moments when you're more relaxed and slack, like, I'm tired. I don't feel like sailing today. But if you got two of your opponents who you have to beat for an Olympic trials, they're on the water waiting for you, pretty much ready to pummel you every time you go out. It keeps pushing you. So I think that's what I really like about the aspect. I like the mental grind of it, because racing, when it comes down to the last race on who beats who, you have been practicing this amount of stress in your training when you go into that last race. So things start becoming easier.
Yeah, awesome. That does sound intense and inspiring, and the challenge that's always there. It's super beneficial. Charlotte, did you want to touch a little bit on how the team elements affected your training on and off the water?
Yeah, like it's the same way, like I think about it when what Erika and Paige said, like I training with them like was a blessing. Like I didn't like it, since like we're all spread out, and like I like now sailing with them, like I always had to stay on top of my game. Like Erika was always the first one on the water, and I'm like, okay, I gotta like be right behind her, like every single like I gotta be on top of my game. And then Paige and Erika, like we're gonna set up next to each other, and like we know like in our head that like we're gonna like pummel each other. Like I want to roll this person like really bad, and like I don't know, it's just it, like what Paige said, it's all about like the mental game of it, and like preparing ourselves to like go against the top people in the world, because like you're gonna set up next to like Olympians. Like I'll set up next to them like at a start, and I'm like, oh shit, like I need to hike hard. And then like by practicing against like Paige and Erika, like you prepare yourself mentally to be like, I need to give like 110%. And like I'm really grateful for that, because like not only did it like make me like physically stronger, but it made me like mentally stronger to like keep pushing at myself. Because like sometimes, like when Paige said, like when it comes down to the last race, like who's gonna win, you have to push yourself, so yeah, I learned a lot from them, and like I have definitely like gotten stronger like mentally as a person to like give it my all, and like staying on top of my physical game. Because like obviously I see Erika and Paige like working out in the gym, and I'm like, I need to go to the gym and like push myself. So yeah.
And I'll chime in here. I mean, they're obviously super competitive. So, keeping three athletes who are super competitive, focused on what they're trying to achieve during a training session, that's one of the key elements, because if it just turns into, I've got to beat this person in a tuning run, then you're not achieving what you're trying to achieve. So we make sure that there's a goal that we're working on when we go out. If it's hiking, if it's upwind speed, if it's a high mode or a low mode, and we make sure that even if you lose a tuning run, you know why you've lost it, what you can do to improve to get better, and how that'll make you a better athlete. And I think all three girls have seen that as the way forwards. Sometimes it's good to get beaten in things to know how you can improve. And one of the things I've always tried to say to the girls is, I want you to be the best version of who you can be when you show up for the big events. And if you show up, unfit or unpracticed or untrained, you're not going to perform. And if you show up the best you can be, that's the best chance you can give yourself. So, the girls really take that on board, and they push themselves as hard as they can. Like, it hurts me sometimes just watching how much they grind. We've done a lot of hiking in a laser radial this year, which, I haven't hiked a laser radial, but it hurts me watching it. So, girls, how much does it hurt hiking a laser?
I love it. I think it's awesome.
But one of the things we looked at was, once it's never going to not hurt. Hiking in a laser or a radial is painful. So I can't make it go away. No matter how much physical training you can do, that hurt won't go away. So how do you deal with it when it hurts, when you're racing, when you're sailing? You can do two things. You can say, oh, it hurts, I'm gonna not try quite as hard so it doesn't hurt as much. Or it hurts, it means it hurts for everybody else, and I'm gonna outlast this pain. I'm gonna work harder. Now's my opportunity to really push. And making sure that you can really embrace what sailing the boat is like, what it feels like, and what you can do to get yourself better.
I know, absolutely. Steve, I'm going to just ping in the first audience question for you, just a little bit along that, is what coaching philosophy do you change when going from training one athlete to training a squad?
It's interesting because one of it depends on the size of the squad. I know Erika will agree with this. She's got a squad at Fort Lauderdale Yacht Club, which at times can be 10 to 12 athletes. Now, the difference there is that the skill level can be quite wide in that group. So sometimes you're having to either split the group into parts, or you're having to, some of the higher athletes, the higher skilled athletes aren't getting as much input as they want. And some of the very, very lower skilled athletes in the group are maybe not quite understanding or getting a grip of what you're trying to teach them. So the one good thing with the three girls here, they're at a very similar level of understanding, of knowledge, of experience, and that works well training them on the water. If I train them individually, essentially they get the same input as they would if they're in a group of 2 or 3. If the group was larger, obviously that would have to change. You have to be a lot more disciplined with a larger group. You have to know what your plan for the day is when you're on the water. If you're just with one boat, you can go out with a plan, but you can chop and change it whenever you want to. When you've got 10 people in a group, changing the plan becomes pretty hard, because now you've got to tell 10 people what the plan is. And likely, and Erika can probably agree with this, 6 or 7 of them won't have listened when you told them. So you've got to tell them all again. But yeah, from training one athlete to training 3, certainly within this specific group, is very, very similar on how I approach it. Working with a bigger group, then you have to make a few more changes.
Yeah, absolutely. So you're saying these girls made it easy for you?
Yeah, easy in some respects.
Okay, so we have tons of questions coming in from the audience, so I'm gonna try to get to everyone's, but we'll start with one for Paige. Postponement aside, this being your 3rd games, do you feel more prepared now than you did at this point in any previous quad?
Yeah, for sure, because just life experiences have taught me a lot. Obviously, I've been dealing a lot with some health issues, and it's really taught me how to thoroughly push through tough times. And I really learned how to be present, and with the help of Steve as well, he keeps me present as with it, because when I arrive to a regatta, I am who I am and there's no changing. Like, I can't change myself in the next few hours when I go out to the start line. So what it did is it just taught me how to really fight when, let's say, my body wasn't as prepared, or let's say I was ill and I was struggling. So I think, going into the games, it's a high pressure, high stress event. And the stuff that I've been through just in my life in the last 2 years has taught me a lot on how I can handle stress at a big event like the games.
Yeah, awesome. Excited to watch it all come into fruition for you. Charlotte, we have a question for you as well. What was it like going through the trials while still being enrolled as a full-time student?
It was definitely hard. Like, I'm really glad that I go to school in Jacksonville, Florida, and I go to Jacksonville University. And so when we trained in Lauderdale, it was only like a 5-hour drive, which seems a lot, but eventually after doing it multiple times, it feels like nothing. So there was that one, like that thing that made it easy to travel back and forth. And like going to Australia for the second part of the trials, I really appreciate that like my school and like my professors were really understanding about what I was doing. They were willing to work with me. So like that took a lot of stress off my shoulders. And like it was definitely hard to like balance schoolwork and then going to train and then being in Australia whole day ahead. But I think what helped me a lot was just like trying like each day, like waking up and being like, okay, this is what I'm doing today. Like when I have a time slot, I'm going to do my homework, or like I'm going to like emailing my teachers back and forth. So yeah, like it was definitely hard, but I'm really glad that my professors like worked with me and that like they understood what I was like working towards and like what I was doing. So yeah.
Excellent. It's nice to have that support from education. And then for Erika, after pursuing the Rio Games while you were also in school at BC, what is your transition to full-time campaigning in this quad been like?
So I feel like I actually get asked this question kind of a lot, and it's something that a ton of athletes go through because of our passion for college sailing and also wanting to receive a good education. So I just want to clarify, like I'm not the only one who goes through like the transition from college sailing into an Olympic pathway. We've had a ton of other U.S. sailing team athletes go through that transition as well. But overall, I think we would all agree that it probably just frees up the most amount of time, like leaving school. You have more time to focus on campaigning aspects like the training, the gym, the fundraising, travel, like everything like that. So I think in general, we just get more time. However, like a question I guess I haven't really been asked, which is kind of new, but kind of what the transition's been like from like pre-Olympic, or sorry, the pre-trials and like to the post-trials kind of situation that I'm in now, not receiving the berth for the Olympic Games. But yeah, I kind of want to share this actually really quick. So before the trials, I kind of wrote a note on my iPhone, and it was kind of just like other goals that I had for myself. I wrote this like back in like maybe December as like other goals that I had for myself apart from just the Olympic trials. And so I actually have this note. Let me pull it up. Okay. So life goals, because I'm one of those people that like writes things down and like takes cute little iPhone notes. But one was rent my own apartment and buy a car, have a successful sports marketing career, and become a journalist, maybe like for a newspaper, magazine, or blog, or online articles, marry the love of my life, have children and raise them to be beautiful, incredible people, start a nonprofit organization for veterans in sailing, and then live and die happily with the love of my life. So I think like these are all goals and things like I still want to achieve in my life. And like the transition has been, kind of like different, and it's been something that I haven't really experienced before. But I'm proud to say that within a month of returning from the trials. I already accomplished goal 1, which was get a new apartment and buy a car. So that was really exciting for me. And then I also recently started applying for jobs. And as for the marry the love of my life part, that's gonna probably take a while since my current single status is out there. But overall, the transition, it's been like a day-to-day kind of week-to-week thing post trials. And overall, I'm just really happy with what I achieved. And, even though I didn't reach my end goal of getting the Olympic Games berth, I'm super almost just confident in who I am and, what I've tried to do the last couple of years, especially with this team, the Radial squad behind me. And so, for the next 2024 Olympic Games, I don't know if I'll, pursue that yet, but I'm confident that my heart will eventually tell me where to go. And so that's kind of been my transition part. And for the pre-trials and post-trials. So that's where I'm at now. But for the college sailing stuff, it's just, I'm not the only one to have gone through that as well. So thought I'd elaborate on my current stance.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think letting your heart just find that true love will happen as well. So
yeah. As Erika's teammate, and I'll say wing woman, all eligible bachelors out there that are watching this, Erika Reineke is single now.
Awesome. So this actually tees up a good question from the audience for you, Paige, in just with your experience in missing the selection at the 2008 games, what advice or mentorship do you have, or would you offer up to Erika and Charlotte about continuing to chase and achieve their goals?
Yeah, it was interesting actually when I won the trials this time. I cried because I felt more sad over the heartbreak for the teammates, because I know what it's like to lose, and it hurts. As proud and everything I am that I had of that quad and the accomplishments that I had, still not winning the trials, that when the feeling sets in, it just sucks. And the thing that I always say to people, whether it's in athletics or business or just in life in general, we are all going to have setbacks in life. And, I think it takes you off the path for a little bit, and then you just got to get right back on. And I think one of the biggest things that I learned is that we are all proud of our accomplishments. So we go around saying, oh, this is what I've done, this is great. But I think also being really proud of the things you haven't accomplished as well, because there's a lot of effort, there's a lot of sweat and everything that goes into trying to achieve a goal. And maybe the first time around it doesn't happen, but you never know if the second, or look at me, I'm on my going to my third games or my fourth quad because I want to win a medal. So I think the biggest thing is that everyone says, when you get knocked down, you just get back up. But I think in addition to that, you have to be proud of a negative. To me, isn't always a negative. So I'm always learning something. And from those trials, I learned a lot as well.
No, awesome. All right, let's see. We have lots of questions. We may go over our time limit, girls. So we'll go with Charlotte. What was your experience teaming up with these two to prepare for the trials like, after not having trained with them full time for the whole quad?
It was definitely something new, and I was really excited about it, being able to train with Erika and Paige. I don't know, I feel like I'm I was fangirling over it. I'm like, oh my god, and I'm training with them, this is so exciting, I've never done this before. And I don't know, I really learned a lot from them. They are older than me, and they've had a lot of experience, and so just taking what they know and putting it into my training, or how do I put my campaign together, or how to deal with stress and dealing with this stuff and scheduling, because I know Erika's a super organized person, and Paige is oh, it like is super like organized, well, like most of the time, but like
not so much.
but, like learning things that they do, like trying to like mirror that into like my daily life, like has made me like a better person, like as a whole, and like not only like in sailing, but like just like in life in general. But like like off the water, like I'm not like, there's sometimes when like Paige will like roll me, or like they'll beat me like on a down, and I'm like, how do they do that? Like I just want it, like it's like the smallest things, because like when we're like at a regatta, like if you slack for a little bit or you mess up, like you're gonna lose like maybe like 5 to 10 votes, like 20 or like most of the fleet. But like constantly like asking them questions, and like learning like, how did you like do this maneuver, like how did you like do this technique, like how did you have your body weight this way, like just like any aspect of like part of like racing or like just sailing, like learning more, because like we always like want to, there's so much like you can learn, and like you can learn each like the smallest thing, because like once you like get like at the, I guess like the top of your game, like all like the big things to learn you already learned, but like as you progress more and more, like the smallest things, like technique wise, and like the smallest like maneuvers, or like how you use your body weight, really matter at the end of the day. So just like, I guess what I'm saying is just absorbing as much information I can from them, with like coming in and like training with them for like the last part of the quad. So that really helped me.
And, you know, if I can comment on that too, Charlotte coming in later into the quad. So, you know, we can say, I don't want this to come across arrogant, but, you know, Erika and I going into the first part of the trials were the favorites. And here comes this youngin, and she beats us. And Charlotte's winning the trials. And it was not what we expected. She comes out of left field and literally put a heck of a lot of stress onto Reineke and I. And I think it was actually one of the best things that could have happened. So even though she's younger and we can say, oh yeah, Erika and I are teaching her a lot, Charlotte forced us both to step up our game in breeze, because Charlotte was faster than us. And she definitely pushed, you know, all the way up into the second trials in Australia. I was thoroughly stressed out about Charlotte. And, you know, trying to be able to compete against her in breeze. So, you know, I definitely don't want to discredit Charlotte because she's younger and she came into the quad late. No, Charlotte was the one that actually really lit a fire, a big fire under both of us to get our act together even more going into the trials. So don't forget about you now, Charlotte. You're teaching us a lot as well.
I think one of the good things about the team, and when they learn the most, is it's not me standing in front of them telling them what to do. It's them coming in after a session, and then a discussion starts around a specific area of, you know, sheeting or steering or hiking, and then I just sit back and let them discuss, exchange ideas. The amount of respect they have for each other is incredible. They've all got really big talents in lots of different areas, and they're all trying to, you know, pick and choose of, okay, Charlotte, how do you do this? Erika, how's your steering and your sheeting in that condition? And it's great to see that. I mean, those are the moments as a coach where you can sit back and you can say, perfect, they're learning, they're teaching each other, and they're getting better as a group, which is, it's a fantastic feeling. As a coach, if you're just standing in front of people telling them what to do and you've got 3 blank faces looking back at you, you don't know how much of that's going in. When they're all chatting and discussing and drawing little diagrams and, you know, making little pictures with their hands of boats, that's when you know it's working and it's sinking in.
Awesome. So we're gonna pivot over a little bit to fitness here, and we'll start, Erika, with you. Can you talk a little bit about the emphasis on fitness that the US sailing team had going into the trial events, kind of why that came about and what progress you saw after that became a focus.
Yeah, so it was a long, hard process, especially, me being one of the lighter radial sailors just in general. Fitness is a big part of me actually like trying to round the top mark in even the top 12 or top 15 when it's a 15 plus knot day. So I think the last couple months of the quad, especially after we came back home from the test event in 2019, Steve and I kind of made a plan with Force Physical Therapy, which was located in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, and they've worked with the team. And so it was like the first time that I was going to be able to link up with a personal trainer and like kind of have a program that I was being, I guess, overlooked by a coach, by a full, like a trainer that I could go in each week and work with, and other athletes that were in the gym too. They weren't just sailing athletes. They were football players, they were baseball players, like top-notch professional athletes. And so before I had contact with all these, with Force Physical Therapy and Bomarito's gym, I was basically just working out at the Lauderdale Yacht Club gym alone and doing most of my training sessions just alone. And I think I got to a certain point where I needed that little extra push, and especially for the weight gain, especially for like improving my strength in the breeze. So the last couple months after we returned from the Olympic test event, probably like the end of September, Steve and I put together a plan, and I felt the fittest I'd ever been after already like 2 months in the program with them, working with another trainer. And then I showed up to Miami and I felt very, very, very fit, like not tired at all. And hiking was not a problem. And then even when we got to Australia, I don't ever remember thinking, oh, my legs hurt, like not a single time ever. And I think that was the moment where I was like, okay, like what we had worked. And I was able just to focus on my sailing rather than focusing on, oh, I'm light. Oh, I'm like coming up with almost excuses for myself. So I thought the fitness aspect was really important. And even though I didn't get the result I wanted at the Worlds, it didn't reflect, or my result at the Worlds didn't reflect how much work we put in leading up to that. So the fitness thing, I think we improved in a lot. And I think looking forward, if I was to do another campaign, I would have someone overlook my program like that. And I would like the coaching staff, like this past time, to be kind of also monitoring that program like we did, because I felt like everything I was doing to my body was a team effort, and it was really helpful.
And to give a example of the stuff she was doing, so she would be going to the gym in Lauderdale, doing like probably a 2-hour weight session, and it was proper old school weights. It was pushing big iron sleds around on the pavement. It was lifting weights. It was lifting weights with chains hanging off them. There was people in the gym calling her the big dog. Come on, big dog, lift that weight. There was people pushing each other in the gym. And then on the water, she'd finish that, and we would go out on the water. The days we spent in Fort Lauderdale, I think we added them up one day, and it was something like 28 days we did, where essentially the only thing we did was to hike upwind. And when I say hike upwind, we would do 10-minute intervals. So 10 minutes of hiking as hard as you can, even when it hurts. I'm driving behind, making sure that you're not slacking. And we would do that for an hour solid. And then to do that for 27 days, 28 days, that's a lot of time hiking out of a radial. And I'm pretty sure after the first week, Erika wasn't quite sure what was happening. She knew her legs hurt, but she embraced it. She could see herself getting better. She could feel the progress in the boat. And then, come the new year in Miami time, and even going into the World, she was the strongest I'd ever seen her in hiking. And that had always been a weakness, because she was, generally smaller than the girls who can perform in a bigger breeze. She had to be fit and strong, and all credit to her for for recognizing that and working hard. And she's got to believe it's the right thing to do, to put the effort in, and she put that effort in and saw the rewards from it.
Yeah, I think specifically, just to piggyback off that one more time, like one of the biggest moments of my Olympic campaigning experience was a race at the Worlds where I rounded the top mark in like the top 2 or 3 and in, an 18 plus knot day. And I just remember rounding the mark and being like, oh my God, this is happening. like just so excited, and like a smile plastered on my face as I went into the reach, and I was just gone. And so like, I'll always remember just that small moment of rounding that windward mark and even though it was a split second, right? Like a one upwind is 8 minutes, and you train 6 months in the gym for those 8 minutes to try to get up to a windward mark in the top 3. It was all worth it. 6 months of training for 8 minutes of work on an upwind. It was awesome.
Yeah, no, pays off for sure. So fitness for one, without a doubt, super important to being a competitive athlete. But Paige, can you also kind of outline how important nutrition is for being part of an elite campaigning athlete?
Yeah, for sure. Nutrition is just as important as rest and training. And, I would say naturally, we don't sit high enough with our weight. So like Erika and I, the last few years have been really pushing on trying to gain weight. And I just feel like it's just a constant thing that I'm constantly thinking about is, it's how many calories I can get in. And then it's always pushing about the right timing when to get the calories in. And, I'm also a believer in the right foods. I don't eat a lot of junk. I mean, come on, you'd be lying if you say occasionally you don't ever have something, but I'm pretty picky about the types of foods, and I like pretty much like the natural, not a whole bunch of processed foods. And, I like to put in different elements into the body that give you certain qualities into my training. So it's nice. I work with Mike Kushner at Sailing Performance Training, and I look the nutritionist there is named Hannah, and she's been a great help on making sure I have the right fats, energy, but we'll say carbs, protein. So it's just as much of a science as the physical training aspect. So you can't slack on that.
Yeah, for sure. So this next one's not a question, but a quick shout out. Thanks so much for sharing. You all are inspiring. This is definitely going to be required viewing for my high school team this week. So lots of viewers out there, ladies. And we're going to go to a kind of a fun question. It's for all 3 of you. And how do you think the 3 of you would perform as a triple-handed match racing team? And Erika, if you want to take that one first.
I think it would be really fun, honestly. I think it'd be so fun. So like the cool thing about our squad is, again, like we all have such different personalities, but opposites sometimes attract, especially in a team setting. So I think it'd be really fun. I don't think it'd matter really what job each of us did. I would trust the other one with my life pretty much, but I think it would be super fun. And I mean, hopefully there's opportunities in the future where we could, do that for a weekend or for a regatta. It'd be fun.
For sure. Charlotte, you want to have any comments on that?
Yeah, I think it would be really fun. Like just like sailing with each other would just overall just be really fun, no matter who like sailed which position. I think we'd just all like be laughing the whole time about something. Like someone would make a joke, or like we're just like laughing and not paying attention. But yeah, I think it would be really fun. Like we could do it for like a weekend. I would so do it.
Game. Future women match racing champions in the making. Paige, anything before the next question? It's a little on coaching, also geared towards all of you.
No.
You'd show up for the match race, right?
Yeah, I'd probably be joking around on the boat so much that Charlotte and Erika would try to get me to be serious, because I would just be like, wow, I got people on the boat and be talking away about everything else but sailing. I could totally see that.
Awesome. So I believe all of you do some coaching kind of on the side when you're not training and competing yourselves. And the question came from the audience. Do you each feel like you learn yourselves in the process of coaching, or is coaching simply more about giving back? Erika, if you want to start with that one. And
Sure. Well, I believe that, you know, some of the online coaching that I do through my Tuesday Tip series on Instagram, that is mostly just to give back. However, it's actually turned into a lot of dialogue between sailors and myself, and some group chats started and getting ideas out there, which I think is really interesting, because there's some college sailors that I sailed with that have, you know, some suggestions about, you know, starting. I did an episode on starting the other week, or this week, sorry, and they're like, well, I do this. So it kind of turns into a feedback loop, but it all kind of started with, you know, me just wanting to give back to a sport that has given me so much, and especially just trying to help, you know, younger sailors in general. But like, it's been really cool that, you know, that giving back feature has turned into a dialogue between a ton of different sailors from a ton of different classes, and it's very interesting, and I really appreciate it, and I think it's a great way that to just share information between classes, which we haven't really had that too much of that before.
awesome. Charlotte, you want to take it as well, kind of the experience of coaching?
Yeah, like I definitely, like, by sharing my, like, the information I know about sailing, I also get feedback from them as well, like, oh, this is what I do. It's like the same with Erika. And like, not only are you teaching something new, like, you can also learn something from them. And like, giving back as well, like, I sometimes coach at the yacht club that I first sailed out of, like for the past like 10, like when I started sailing, Houston Yacht Club, and like seeing like all the like kids like come out sailing and like be so excited to learn how to sail. I'm just like, wow, like I used to be like them, and like I want them to like look up to me, and like they definitely they want it, like these twins I know from the Houston Yacht, like from Houston Yacht Club, they're like, they look up to me, they're like, I want to be like you one day, and like they're so excited to learn. And I'm just like, I really like giving back to them, and like giving back to like Houston Yacht Club and kids, because like I was once there. I was once one of the first like learn to sail campers, and like seeing where I am now, like I really want to give back and be like, they deserve, they want, like, hold on, I'm trying to think, sorry, like they want to be like me, so I'm like, I want to teach them, like I want to give back to them, and like,
Yeah, no, awesome. I think it's inspiration across the board. Paige, do you have anything you want to say about kind of coaching and giving back to the younger generation?
Yeah, for sure. I think my younger days, like in my teens, those were some really fun times sailing. And that was probably some of the, you know, I had great connections and friends when I was sailing, and we used to travel all together. And I think I missed that part. And I think a big thing that the youth need to remember is to really enjoy those years sailing. And so when I go back and I coach the youth, it's like re-energizing for me. So it's really fun to be around young, enthusiastic, naive kids who just want to send it and win every single race. So I really enjoy that aspect. And then on top of it, I'm 32 years old now, and I have quite a few years of knowledge, and I just want to give all my knowledge away to, you know, American sailors so that they can use for their own career. Because, you know, one day when I decide to retire from radials, you know, I don't want to take all this knowledge I've learned and not have people, you know, use it. I've got 17 years or so of knowledge of radials. So I think that's a really, really big motivator for me. And it's definitely something that I feel I'm quite proud of, because when I was younger, I was more, we'll say, self-centered on wanting to achieve my goals. And now I have the mindset of, helping others to achieve their goals and to, join the path with me as I achieve mine.
Yeah, no, awesome. And I believe all three of these women are doing coaching kind of on an ongoing basis, and even some online coaching for those interested athletes and sailors out there developing their skills in this new virtual environment we're all living in. So their information's below in the chat. So definitely reach out to them. So here's a fun one for you, Paige. What's something you can share with about the Olympic experience that the sailing audience may find surprising?
The most fun I have at the games actually is when you go to the clothing trying on stuff. So both Olympics, that's been the best thing I think I've done just within the Team USA experience. So everyone talks about the opening ceremony. Before you get to the opening ceremony, we had Polo and Nike that sponsored, let's say, the 2016 games. And you go to this building, Nike completely outfits one part of the building. And you walk in, there's all these different people that volunteer their time to help you try on the clothes. They have things written up, like dreams of what you're going to do, and, places you can take photos, and everyone makes the experience so much fun. It's like you can do fun little model runway things with them, and they're all cheering and having a good time. And then we went over to Polo, and it's like, it's a completely different atmosphere over there. Like they did a bit more, like it was just like walking into this, 5-star, hotel. It looked really cool. And then you had all these enthusiastic people again. And I just thought those two experiences, trying on the clothes, it was just so much fun. And that was really where it hit you, like, hey, I'm going to the games, and you're wearing the gear, and, sending photos back home, everyone just freaks out. So I think most people wouldn't say that, but I actually would agree. My brother would say that that's probably one of his favorite things to do as well.
Excellent. Okay, here's one for all of you, and you may have different opinions on it. Is there a country that has that the US has a rivalry with? Erika, we can start with you, or you seem a little hesitant, so maybe Charlotte, do you have and it could be no. The answer could be no. So.
Okay, well, I don't know if there's rivalries, I would say, like, specifically, but everyone, right, like in sailing has had like an incident where it's like you're not like on the water, and like you're not sure if you guys are like good after. So there's like a few of those, and it's not really like a rivalry, but I would say like you're definitely hesitant to like ask for cross, or like ask for I don't know, like ask for a favor after like something like that has happened. So I wouldn't consider it like a rivalry, but like there's definitely like moments where you've made maybe another country like not so happy, or vice versa. And so, but that's just part of sailing in sports.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm going to go with Canada just because Steve lives there. So I feel like every time we're saying, we just talk, or like, he's originally from England. So it's anything English and Canadian based, we're always making jokes about.
Awesome. And Steve, this is kind of a follow-up question to Paige's previous one, but is there anything that you would share about the Olympic experience that the sailing audience would find surprising?
It's interesting. I went to the games in 2004, which seems like a long time ago now. Whenever I gave talks to like kids programs or youth teams afterwards, I would give a presentation about this is what we did, this is what the boats were like, this is where the opening ceremony. The thing that the kids were most excited about, like every single time, free McDonald's. Like it blew their mind. Like, what, you can go into McDonald's and get anything you want and it's free. Yeah, you walk in there, get whatever you want, go and eat it, go back and get some more if you want. And I know when I was in Athens, there was Yao Ming, who's the really tall Chinese basketball player, who used to play in the NBA. He was in there. And Ian Thorpe, who was the Australian swimmer, remember the Torpedo, had the massive feet. That's the place to hang out. If you want to meet top athletes, you hang out in the free McDonald's or you hang out in the dining hall. The dining hall is an interesting place. There's people there eating, half a leaf of lettuce and one chickpea. And there's people there who have 2 trays worth of food because their sport dictates that they have to have that many calories in there. I've walked into the dining hall behind I think it was the Lithuanian women's basketball team. That's an intimidating place to be. I'm 6'5" and there was girls taller than I am walking into this place. It's amazing. It's such an experience, and I think there's a lot of behind the scenes stuff that the public just don't see because all they see is the broadcast footage. But there's so much going on behind the scenes. It's an incredible place, and that's why everybody aspires to try and go there if they can.
Yeah, absolutely. That also, a quick follow-up question is, how has your perspective on the games changed from a sailor to a coach?
Good question. I'm not really sure that it has. It's when I was a coach, when I was a sailor, that was what we were aspiring to do. And now as a coach, I'm coaching the same thoughts and passion into the athletes to get to that goal. It's still, whenever you go there, it's still breathtaking. It's the greatest show on earth. And that doesn't change if you've been to 1 or if you've been to 8 Olympics. It's always in a different part of the world. The culture is always different. I think as athletes, we're super privileged in what we do. We get to travel, we get to see all these different cultures, we get to meet a lot of people. And going back to one of the questions you asked before about did we have any rivals? Realistically, we've tried to become everybody's friends, certainly within the Radial class, where we'll train with anybody if we feel that we will get productive training out of it. We will go out for meals with people from Australia, from Greece, from Finland, from wherever in the world. And those friendships are ones that you've made and they'll last a lifetime. Erika or Paige or Charlotte could go to Finland or Denmark in 20 years' time and they could call up one of the people they're sailing against now and they'd be open with welcome arms to, come and stay, come and see my family, come and see where I live. It's an amazing place to be.
Awesome. And we'll find you at the McDonald's as well.
Yeah, every time. Well, I have to be there to make sure the girls aren't there.
Absolutely. Erika, there's a quick shout out from Dave Reed. What car did you buy? One, and seriously, how long have you been wake surfing to be so smooth? So a little pivot from the sailing, but
okay. Well, I bought an F-150. I'm not sure that I need it, but I really wanted it, so I bought it. And just like classic kind of girl mentality there. But I don't know, it was really pretty and it didn't have like a ton of miles. And so I'm a Florida girl and I was like, F-150, here we go, baby. But as for the wake surf stuff, I started probably when I was in high school, 6 or maybe 16. I broke my leg wakeboarding. I tried to jump the wake and like do some sort of backflip and my foot came out of the boot on the binding for the wakeboard. So Luther hates this story, by the way. So like when I was up in the air, one foot was in the boot and one foot was out of the boot. So when I hit the water on the other side of the wake, the whole board rotated around and messed up my foot. So after that, I kind of been against bindings in general. So I've taken up wake surfing instead. So probably, I would say it's been 10 years now. We kind of just do it for fun, my sister and our friends.
Awesome. Okay, we're gonna wrap up with 2 questions. This last one's for Paige. How has the postponement quarantine situation affected your preparation for the games? How are you still progressing despite being cooped up?
The postponement actually has been the best thing for me. I, like, as I said, I've had some pretty big health issues, and I have been full blast since 2017 to get recovered. 2018 went a little bit better. 2019, I declined a lot. And then since I would say September of last year, there hasn't been a break. It's just been nonstop gym, sailing, and it's been a positive for me. So I'm not looking at it at all as a negative. And, you know, even if I didn't have the health issues, I would view it as a positive anyways, because it gives me more time to get into better shape. And when we're allowed back in the boat, it allows me more time to be prepared for the games. So it's just, you know, a little bit of a postponement that's actually only leading to good things. So I'm quite happy for it. I'm not happy for what the coronavirus is doing to the world and the sadness and the stuff that it's causing for people and economically. I'm not, that's, you know, that's terrible what's going on, but just strictly on a, you know, games basis for myself, it was a good thing that it happened.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think persevering through challenging times, a perfect example. And if you want any tips about how to set up a home gym, definitely check out Paige's Instagram because it's pretty extensive. Okay, so a final question for everyone, and we'll start with you, Charlotte, is what's the most rewarding thing about working with this team?
Wait, can you repeat the question? Sorry.
What's been the most rewarding thing working with this team?
I think it's like the most rewarding thing is just like friendship, because like I get to have like 3 really good friends and that I can talk to about anything. Like not only are we like teammates, but like we're friends at the same time. Like I can always like talk to Paige or Erika or Steve about anything, like if something stresses me out or like if I just need someone to talk to. And I think that's the most rewarding thing I get out of all this. Cause like we all like, I love traveling. Like that's another thing, like being able to travel around the world. But like most of all, at the end of the day, like you grow relationship, like you gain relationships from this. So yeah.
Excellent. Erika?
Well, one of the most rewarding parts for me would be, I guess, how much that this team has pushed me to become like just the sailor that I am today. And I've learned little things from each of them and like their strengths and been able to like kind of work that into my my sailing on the water and my racing. So I think that's been like the most rewarding thing like for me sailing wise. However, I would kind of also just say that it's been, and I said this earlier, but it's been really nice to have, you know, the 3 of them, Steve, Paige, and Charlotte, behind. Basically, just like again, we're all going for the same goal, and that's just, it's really not something that everyone, you know, has. Like, not everyone in this world knows what it's like to do an Olympic campaign and, you know, come out maybe not achieving your goal in the end. And both of these 2 girls do, and Steve does, and so. Kind of when your heart gets like almost broken like that, you have a strong foundation behind you. And, you know, we've had such a strong leader, Steve, and then like Paige has helped me through some stuff and Charlotte as well. And so, yeah, I guess it's a friendship and it's almost like a weird, it's a weird kind of dysfunctional, but functional family at the same time. Like we all just kind of make it work, and I'll just never forget these moments that we had with each other.
Awesome. Paige?
Yeah, I would definitely say my moment is it goes on the water. So it's more in my personal life. You know, Erika and Charlotte have been there for me, and you know they were good to me just as like a human being. You know, not just the athlete. And I think the biggest thing for me this quad was working with Steve. And, you know, when I came onto the quad, I was not in the best of shape, we'll say, with my health. And Steve, what he did for me made me feel normal. And that even if I had setbacks in my health, that, you know, I could do it no matter what. And going through it, I felt like inside myself, oh, I can do it. But then to have somebody stand by you through thick and thin, like it didn't matter if we were standing on a podium or if I was, you know, making silver fleet or not able to continue all the racing. Steve has stood by me. And I think just having that kind of support in this campaign has really changed me in my life as well. That, you know, if you're a little bit different or things are a little bit different for you, that you can still achieve what everybody else can. And so it's meant a lot to me to have his support like that.
Great. And with that, Steve, you want to close us up here?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, for me, I'm lucky that I get to work with the three of these athletes all the time. Yeah, they push me to get better. I push them to get better, and seeing them grow as people, as athletes, as friends, as just human beings is pretty impressive. Yeah, we have a WhatsApp group with the three of them and myself, and luckily there's three of them because the icon for that group is Charlie's Angels logo. And the reason I chose that was because they're just three badasses, right? You watch Charlie's Angels, all they do is they just kick ass every single thing they do. And that describes them perfectly. So, you know, I'm proud to work with them. They push me, hopefully I push them. And it really makes me proud when I see them achieve and get results, not just results in races, but results in life and just become better. So thank you, ladies. It's been a pleasure working with you and to continue working with you.
Yeah, no, all exceptional individuals on this team. So with that, thank you, Charlotte, Erika, Paige, and Steve for joining us today. It does take a village to support these athletes. If you'd like to follow and support Erika, Paige, and Charlotte, you can find their information in the description below. If you enjoyed today's sessions, please support our efforts to build community of active and engaged sailors through the Starboard portal by purchasing or renewing a US Sailing membership. We have great content coming up. Tomorrow we have our live workouts with sailing performance training at 10 a.m. Eastern. Maybe Paige will be there. Thanks to US Sailing members, we're able to adapt and evolve to better serve sailors with content like this. Visit ussailing.org membership to join or renew US Sailing today. Thank you everyone for joining us. And with that, we're tuning out.
Thank you, everybody.
Bye.
Stay safe.